Richard Crouse.
Do you think that there's a renaissance in that coming back? And I think of movies like Moon, I think of Inception, The Adjustment Bureau recently, Source Code. Do you think that there is an appetite and a thirst for new science fiction that, with the exception, I guess, recently of The Adjustment Bureau, which is based on Philip K. Dick story, but that is new and exploring different kinds of territory?
Absolutely, and I would add to that list Neil Blomkamp's District 9 and Gareth Edwards' Monsters. Mm-hmm. I think there really is, but I think with that, with those kind of films, there is the responsibility also to entertain, and I think that really is the balance that you have to strike. It's all very well having a point of view, but if your point of view is it comes across as a lecture or as an intolerant view, I don't think you're going to do yourself any justice. I think what you really need to do is to establish why things matter to the characters that you've created, and hopefully do it in as entertaining a way as possible. And to me, the ultimate in that is Blade Runner. Blade Runner, I think, is the greatest science fiction film ever made.
Which version? Because this is the cause of some debate, I guess, right?
Whichever one Ridley Scott is most proud of at the time.
And why so? I mean, you've just explained it, but I mean, for me, that movie is a culmination of so many things. When I first saw it, I remember thinking, it's Harrison Ford, who at the time, was the biggest movie star in the world, and everyone loved him, and particularly, people of my age loved him for, Star Wars and Indiana Jones, all that stuff. So, I mean, it was mind-blowing that he was in this. But then Rutger Hauer brought this kind of operatic kind of thing to it, so the performances are terrific. I think that it looks, it took me, again, to a place that I hadn't really seen before.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And those are the things that really grabbed me about it. It just seemed like all the elements work in that movie.
It really does, and my what I love about Blade Runner above all other movies is that you get this sense that if the camera were to pan off the actors, you'd still be in that world, and you'd probably be able to follow anyone in there, and it would be an incredibly interesting story.
Right.
It's just this incredibly fully realized world.
Yeah, I think Terry Gilliam does that as well. I think in his
absolutely.
movies, I always feel like, and I don't know that I'd ever thought of it just in terms of you just put it, but it's interesting you say if the camera followed the B character in this story and just walked with him, there'd probably be something really cool to happen. Yeah,
and I haven't got there yet, but that's where I want to get to. I want to have the opportunity to make a film that has that sense of vividness and believability about the world that you're inhabiting.
Right. Well, I also, just our time's almost up here, I have to ask you about Russell Peters.
Yes, of course.
I'm calling from Toronto, and as you probably know, he's Canadian and from here. Tell me a little bit about how you connected with him and how you were able to get him to tell jokes that you could actually put in the film and not get an X rating.
Well, good call, and you certainly recognize the predicament we found ourselves in. Russell Peters is a fantastic stand-up comedian. We had a role written in the film for a stand-up, and it seemed, we had one of two choices. We either cast an actor and made them do the dialogue in the film, and it might have gotten a few chuckles, or we sort of go out on a limb a little bit and we get a stand-up in. And both my girlfriend and myself were big Russell Peters fans, and we decided it would be great to be able to get him involved. There was obviously pros and cons about having Russell Peters come and do a stand-up in a rated PG-13 film. We ended up with so much fantastic material that is way too blue to put in our movie. And, maybe one day, hopefully, we'll get to release it.
Yeah, but there was only extras or something.
Yeah, there was only a very small amount of material that actually could be put in the movie. So we had a wonderful time on set. He's a very funny guy, very lovely, and really enjoyed it. But, next time I'm going to ask him to do the routine for me before we have to film it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I saw Source Code here in Toronto with all my, Toronto Ontario-based colleagues, and as soon as he came on, there was this titter. And we were like, what is Russell Peters doing in this movie? This is crazy. And then it turns out that he's got a very interesting, and because his part takes a little while to grow, right?
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
As do the roles of everyone. And I was really taken with how you come to feel like you understand Jake Gyllenhaal's motivations. Like, as he looks around and starts to realize that all these people are real people.
Yeah.
And that there's more to it than just the stopping this great catastrophe. It's more micro than that. You know, he's going to look after the people that are in this train first.
Absolutely. I mean, it starts off as a sort of chaos and a complete mystery to him. And as you say, over the course of the film, the part of the juggling act was to have him learning as the audience is learning, and that's really, I think, the mark of a well-written thriller. And I think Ben Ripley did a great job with that. That the audience and Coulter learn things at the same rate.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Richard